Howdy Writers, hope you're having a great weekend. Just wanted to check in and provide some clarification about where we're headed this week. So Friday was the deadline for your coming of age story rough drafts. Please remember that if you did not meet that deadline, which was Friday by 11:59 p.m., that you are being penalized at a rate of 10% per day up to a total of 50%. So it's really important that if you have not met that submission, that you get it in as soon as possible so you're not losing marks unnecessarily. Thank you very much to those people who hustled and met that deadline. I asked you to submit your rough drafts in 2 different places. The first place was to the Dropbox in order to make sure that you were getting credit for meeting the submission or for making sure that it was complete. The second place I asked you to submit your rough draft was to the peer editing discussion board, and that can also be found in the link below. So this discussion board is where we're going to be doing our peer editing. What I'm asking you guys to do is to provide peer editing feedback to at least 2 of your classmates. Now I know you might be thinking, okay, we've gone through the peer editing process before, we've done the self-editing process before, how is this different? It actually is pretty different because in the past I've asked you to write considerably fewer words for me. So the 600 to 900 word coming of age story is the biggest piece I've asked you to do, and as a result I'm really going to ask you to pay close attention to the lesson content for this week, because it's going to walk you through some tips and tricks for how to effectively peer and self-edit a longer piece of writing. For instance, in the past, we didn't really have enough words to thoroughly progress a plot. We were working between 300 and 500 words. That's not a lot of space, not a lot of content in order to, think about things like, am I effectively introducing my characters and setting before I start to introduce a conflict? Does that conflict have enough time to develop before I hit my writers with a climax, etc.? We didn't really think about those things because there wasn't a lot of space to do so. But in 600 to 900 words, these are things that we can now take the time to consider. So once you have submitted your rough drafts to both the discussion board and to the Dropbox, please make sure that your next step is to take a careful look at the lesson content for this week so you have a better sense of what we want to pay attention to in the peer and self-editing process in order to really make the most of the revision stage. Again, I'm asking you to take a look at the work of 2 classmates to provide peer editing feedback, and you are being assessed on the quality of the feedback and how likely it is going to help those writers to revise their work. As I've said in the past, if you notice that there's someone who is not getting peer editing feedback, if you choose to go above and beyond the requirements and help 3, 4, 5 people, that is certainly going to be reflected in your mark and will really be appreciated. Again, we all deserve the opportunity to improve. We all deserve the opportunity to produce the best piece of writing possible, and having someone revise our work for us, give us some suggestions for improvement, is an integral part of that process. So far, you have, number 1, posted your rough draft to the Dropbox. Number 2, posted it to the discussion board. Number 3, you've looked at the lesson content for this week. Number 4, you've provided peer editing feedback to at least 2 of your classmates, more if you're going for that 4+. Once you have gotten feedback from your classmates, you want to take into consideration which of their suggestions for improvement are you going to take and are you going to implement into your writing, and which ones are you going to disregard because they don't line up with where you want to see your piece going. If you need somebody else to weigh in on whether or not you think that particular suggestion is worthwhile, feel free to send me an email or an instant message, and I'd be happy to help you out with that. So you're going to make those revisions. Again, look at the lesson content for the things you want to be asking yourself during those revision processes. And then you're going to be asked to hand in a polished and revised final draft to the Dropbox below. I'm asking for that final draft submission to be next Sunday, that's May 20th, by 11:59 p.m. However, I need you to take into consideration that next weekend is the long holiday weekend. So if you have plans, if you know your family's going out of town, etc., I need you to really manage your time wisely this week in order to make sure that your work is either submitted prior to the deadline, if you know you've got plans and you're not going to be around, or submitted on that day. So don't lose extra marks, don't lose culminating activity late marks, simply because you didn't manage your time effectively and you ended up allowing the holiday weekend to get away from you. If you do have concerns about the deadline, please send me an instant message or an email. We can see if perhaps your circumstance warrants some sort of an extension. But in the meantime, please be working toward next Sunday as your final goal for getting all of your peer self-editing done and a final draft submitted to the Dropbox. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a page or email. In the meantime, I hope you're gearing up for a great week, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.